Today we're going to be doing about David and about Shlomo.
Oh, right.
None of which really are going to necessarily be helpful to really making you walk away with good feelings, okay? But as you know, the Gemara feels very strongly about the personalities of David and Shlomo, and each of them therefore goes out of its way to try to find ways to minimize what may have occurred and what didn't occur, or what should have occurred. Correct. And as a matter of fact, at one point, the Gemara will say here that Rabbi Moshe Yeres is a descendant of David, and so he has a general affinity to want to try to read things into a way his granddaddy.
He has a stake in that.
Right. Okay. Nun Vav Mid Aleph. We're about 15 lines from the top, actually. Okay. You're right on time. We just started a little bit offside for about a half a minute. Okay. Nun Vav Mid Aleph. The two dots in the middle, so about 15 lines on the top. Amar Shmuel Amar Nachmeni Amar Rav Yonasan. Kolomer David Chata in Olam Toa. If you think that David sinned, then you're making a mistake. Shenemar, why? Because it says in Shmuel Aleph, in Shmuel Aleph, Perek Yudchet, Vahi David l'chol drachav maskil v'Hashem imo. God, David in all his ways was clever guy, or maskil, a Talmud Chacham, and God was with him. So, Efsher chet ba liyado shchina imo. Is it possible that he sinned and it would say Hashem imo, God is with him, the Shechina is with him? So if it says God is with him and the Shechina is with him, must be he didn't sin, right? Elamani makayim. But so I have to then go back and explain what happens with the story of Uri and Bathsheba, right? Where he sends Uri to be killed, but he actually seems to sleep with Bathsheba even before that.
The first baby died.
And the first,
baby,
correct,
the first
yes,
child died.
right.
No, so I'm just saying.
It's a sign that something was not 100% kosher.
Especially when he sends Uriah. He says, "Go home." I'm going to sleep at your door.
Yeah. That doesn't go home.
Okay, we'll talk about signs. Okay, who wants to talk about the sign of why the stone fell out of the western wall today?
Oh yeah, yes. I heard. Yeah,
on the egalitarian area. Yes,
big stone.
Big stone. Yes, the big stone. Yes, on the egalitarian area. Big stone, the big stone, the rolling stone.
A piece must have spalled off. Use a technical term. It's broken off.
No, a piece must have actually rotted out. What they think it probably happened. Rotted out from you get moisture inside or other things.
Yeah, so it
breaks out. Correct.
It freezes and cracks.
Right. Unless, of course, the walk simply was pushing it out from the inside. We don't know that. There's a possibility to it. At any rate.
That's probably him.
I'm sorry?
Something growing behind it.
Right, pushed out. Is that what they think? That's the latest news? Right, so there was the earth that gets in there, that grows, pushes it out. Yes, it was a very heavy stone.
How much was it?
100 pound stone.
Did it land on somebody?
No,
no.
But it was near some woman I read.
Right, correct. Yes, you see. You can see the video. No, there's a video. There is a video. Look for the video. But it's not the first time this stone fell off the western wall. Okay, just as long as we know this. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry for getting off the track. Okay, so what does it mean when it says that the Navi admonishes David to say, why did you Bazita despise the word of Hashem to do that which is evil? So what must it be? And we saw this before last week. Shebikesh lasod v'lo asa. He wanted to do it, but he really didn't carry it out. Okay. So therefore, now of course we have to explain what he wanted to do, what he didn't do, what he could have done, and what he wanted to do. Right. So the Gemara is going to go through this exactly. So none of which, by the way, is going to smell necessarily very sweet, but at least will minimize the damage. So Amar Rav. Rabbi Diasa mi David, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who came from David, Mahapech v'darach b'shchut David, would try to find schut for David HaMelech, which means, by the way, we will come to learn about Chanukah in the second parak, which we're going to do after this. Just want to point out there are no mishnayot about Chanukah, as everybody knows. There's a lot of brightot. One of the suggestions is that that Rabbi had was not particularly enamored by the Chashmonaim who took over. Because they were Kohanim, and they were not being Beit David and everything, so that's why he left out the Mishnah. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so what does it mean? Rabbi Amar Meshuna Ra Zu Mikol Rosh B'Torah. When it says Ra here, it's different in its construction, in its linguistic construction, than it comes up through all the other admonitions that come throughout the Torah. Shekol Rosh B'Torah. Any time that God wants to admonish someone for the Torah, it says Ksivahu Vayatz. It talks many times in Sefer Malachim, Sefer Shmuel, about the kings Vayasis Rabbi Hashem. They did evil. They hear V'kan Kativ Tiv Lasot. That why did you? It says Madua Bazita Dvar Hashem Lasot, to do. As if to say to do, right, is still being done. Shebikesh Lasot V'lo Asa. He wanted to do and he didn't actually carry it out. So he wanted actually to break the law and sleep with a married woman, but he didn't actually sleep with a married woman. So how do we get around this? So it says, and another support that he has for this, and we'll see this, the story with Uriah Achiti Kita Becharev, that he killed Uriah Achiti with the sword. It doesn't mean he actually killed him; he put him in battle, in the front of the battle, right? So, but that once again looks like he was responsible. Sure. So what did he do? That you should have actually, he was a morid b'malchut, he rebelled against the king. We'll have to find out how he's rebelling against the king. Okay, why would we rebel against the king? What did he do wrong? And I'm sorry.
Should have taken him to the base.
So you should have taken him to a basin, correct? You should have taken him to a basin. So if he was a morid malchut, you should have had him judged in a proper court of law in Sanhedrin. Below Danton, you did. You simply took the law into your own hand. And in fact, what the pasuk says, Uri achiti keta becharev, it says becharev bnei Amon, v'yet ishto lekachta l'cha l'isha, and you took his wife to be your wife. So the Gemara points out, or Rebbe points out here, likuchim yesh l'cha ba. It says lakachta is a sign that you took her legally. Didn't say onasta, didn't say pitita, didn't say gonafta, right? You took her, but lekuchim, because the Torah, when it talks about taking marriage, it talks kiikach ish isha. So
you've got this lekicha.
Right. Kicha mitzvah. Correct.
In the
Kenyan. Correct. So the idea of kiikach and kicha is the key theme that comes up with marriage, with legal marriage. Therefore, it must be that the bottom line, the marriage was legal. Now you would say, well, maybe it was, and Tosfos points out maybe it was legal, but maybe it wasn't really proper. Even if he took her against her will, she would still be married to him. She didn't sin against him. But lekuchen here means it should be illegal. It should be upfront. It should be the same as kiikach ishisha. How do you know? So how did he get around this? How do we kind of get David off the hook? I'm Rav Shmuel Nachmeni, I'm Rav Yonatan. So any soldier who went out to go fight for Beit David would write a get to his wife. Rashi says, actually, it's Machloket Rashi and tells us what exactly the get is. According to Rashi, it was a get al t'nai. Conditionally, don't say of course, okay?
Why?
Okay. Right, well, I'll tell you why. His condition is if I don't return, then you are divorced from me from the moment that I left, right? It's de facto backwards in time. But the truth was, when he slept with her, when he slept with Bathsheba, Uriah was still alive.
Absolutely.
So Tosfos points out, so that get is not going to really get him off the hook.
I agree.
You could say that once he killed Uriah, it backtracks and takes off the marriage in de facto, but at that moment, so therefore Tosfos says that actually the minhag was, at least in this era, was when they went off to fight battles, they actually wrote a complete get to their wives. You are divorced, and then when they came back, they remarried her. Okay? That's how Tosfos presents that. Now, of course, that seems the difficulty with that is, the conditional get means you don't have to do anything when you come back.
Exactly.
The unconditional get means
thousands of people have to get remarried.
And who knows if she's going to wait for her soldier husband to come back. Okay.
But I thought you couldn't, if you divorced her, you couldn't remarry her.
You can't remarry her if she marries someone else.
Cohen
cannot remarry. Cohen cannot remarry his divorcee. But if you divorce a wife and a woman and she does not marry someone else in the interim, yes, you can remarry her. So what I'm saying, but it does open itself up to issues where if she were to kind of leave him and marry someone else, he's out. That's the disadvantage of Tosfos. The advantage of Tosfos Pshat is in the Gemara that tries to get David off the hook. This would get him off the hook because Uriah divorced his wife, and therefore Bathsheba was legally a free woman. Okay.
I'm thinking the story of Shem and Dinah.
Yes.
The Torah there says Vayikocheho.
Absolutely.
Took her. So,
Vayaneho. It says Vayaneho.
Vayikocheho. Vayash.
Does it say Vayikocheho?
Yes, there are three words, but the first one is Vayikocheho.
The Chumash up there.
Which might imply that she was with him.
No, he took her. Doesn't mean he's willing.
She may have been
might
willing.
have been willing.
Listen, Bathsheba may have been willing too.
The question really is what I mean. The larger question is what did the people of Sodom, what the people of Shechem do to all be killed? So we understand Shechem and Hamor. What about the rest of the people? That's a very serious issue. So, thank you. Page 180. Let's see. Where is it? Vayikach oto. You're right. Vayikach oto. Vayishkav oto. Vayaneha. Okay. Good question. Okay, but yes, but it does say Vayikach oto. I don't know.
No. Rashi says lo ketarko.
Right. That's what he said. He said a different position.
But Mr. Bendel is actually asking the fact it says Vayikach oto. Excellent question. Good question. Maybe you could answer just before Matan Torah. This is after Matan Torah. I don't have a better answer. The question why the people of Shechem get killed is the real tricky issue. The Ramban has a suggestion. The Ramban is a very long Ramban. He suggests the reason is that they should have punished Shechem and Hamor. And that's just because if they did this terrible thing, they shouldn't have sat back and done nothing, which shows, therefore, they were not carrying out din, which is one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and therefore they're culpable. It's not such an easy thing to say because they're peasants, they're townspeople, and Shechem and Hamor is nobility. That's right. How are you going to kind of stand up against these people?
Plus, he wanted to marry her. Nothing.
Right. Plus, whatever it is, it's another difficulty in the Torah about great people. So let's come back to David. So at any rate, I just want to point out this is a very basic machloka in Tosfot and Rashi, what kind of get it actually was. And in fact, we know this. The Gemara finds actually a remez, a hint somewhat, for the fact that they were sending the right to get in. This is the story of David HaMelech, when David goes out to his brothers, and that's when he kills Goliath. And the brothers are out in the field in the battlefield, facing these Philistines, and they show up and they bring out this giant Goliath. And then finally David says, I'm going to get him. But what does David go out there for? His father sends him, and he sends him to bring provisions. You're going to bring 10 charitze cholav, not sure charitze cholav, maybe cheeses or something, to the head of the command, the command of 1,000. V'tachecha tifkod l'shalom, and your brothers you're going to go remember for peace. V'et arovotam tikach, and take from them their areva. Well, it's not clear what areva is actually, but they're bundles. Bundles of what? Okay, so the Gemara says, this one not an easy Gemara, Tani Rav Yosef Dvarim Hamuravim Beino Lebeino, something that bundles the husband and wife together. In other words, the Gemara understands this Eravon as somehow connected to writing the get.
As opposed to sending a letter.
As opposed to sending a letter. As opposed to when Yehuda sleeps with the prostitute and she says, she says, send me an Eravon, give me a surety, a guarantee. Okay, so they interpret this, which by the way shows you that Eravon has some kind of sexual connotation necessarily. So the Gemara feels that what the father of David, what Yishai was asking for David to bring back, was the gittin that the brothers would write for their women, okay? At the battlefield to make sure this was done, which is the proof, therefore, that they did it, which, by the way, shows that they didn't do it before they left, necessarily. They did it once they left, okay? At any rate, that is the way that you see, therefore, that David was not really sleeping with a married woman because of the get that the Bnei David, the soldiers would give to their wives. And in fact, there's another proof or another support that Rabbi brings. Yoto harakta b'cherev b'nei Ammon. It says, why did you kill him with the sword of Bnei Ammon? You actually did not kill him with the sword of Bnei Ammon. But macherev b'nei Ammon iatonena shaleh, the same way that you're not going to be found guilty for Bnei Ammon. So you won't be found guilty, you won't be punished for the killing of Uri Achiti. Okay.
You put out a hit on the guy, send one of your henchmen, that's okay.
So now, yes.
If there's a gift before the soldiers go into battle, before the battle, didn't the Kohanim go and say, anybody got married recently?
Recently, last year.
It hasn't consummated, but there's a gift, so there is no marriage.
Well, I guess that was before. First of all, that's what a Mechamat mitzvah. Second of all, that was someone who only got married. Third of all, he didn't write the get yet, I guess. They were writing the get at that point. And besides, the other point is, I'll have a better answer. This is only for the soldiers in the time of David. It's not necessarily taking place in every battle. There seems to be something done at that point. We don't do it today. We didn't do it years later, years after.
Middle Ages, people who went into dangerous situations always gave a get al tanai, right? I mean, I
don't know. Not necessarily. There's all kinds of questions. Aguna is a question that happens in many cases all over. So at any rate, it happens specifically in this case, and this is the proof is in the fact that what David is bringing back from his brothers was their gittin for their wives, and therefore the Gemara assumes that this was taking place. So the fact that they were giving gittin at this point is not a chiddush, but the fact that we're using it to exonerate David HaMelech is probably the chiddush. So at any rate, these are all psukim. So what did the guy do wrong? Okay, so when we look out, find a reason he wrote a get and he's not this, but we still set him up. So my time, what's the reason that David would not be punished for killing Uriah? Forget the fact that he slept with a married woman and not a married woman. He still said someone else to be killed. So the Gemara says, Mored b'malchut hava. He was a Mored b'malchut. He was a person who rebelled against the king, and now he should have set him up with a Sanhedrin to prosecute him, but he didn't. But still, he was culpable. So even though he took the law in his own hands, he was killing a dead man. It was a dead man walking. But why do we say that he's a Mored b'malchut? The Amalei, because he said to him, because Uriah sends back to David HaMelech, V'adoni Yoav, V'avdi Adoni Apnei Asadeh Chonim, that your master Yoav and your servants of your master are on the field, and I'm not coming back. Because David said, "Come back home." We wanted him to be with his wife, so it would look like it was a cover up, right?
Sure.
Right. And he says, "We're here and we can't go back." So there's once again a machloka between Rashi and Tosfot. What actually is the Mored b'malchut here? Rashi says that he was a Mored b'malchut because he calls Adoni Yoav to David. So calling Yoav my master, right, in front of David, who's the master, is seen as a deprecation of David. Okay, Tosfos says that's not really Mored b'malchut.
Exactly.
That's okay. That's not such a good thing. But how else is he going to call me? He's a general, right? He's a commander. So Tosfos says the Mored b'malchut was David said you got to come home, and he says I'm not coming.
Yeah, actually, as I recall, he wasn't come home. He was in the city. He had come back.
I don't want to come to your house.
He wanted him to go
to his house.
Own house.
Right.
So, and he said, no, everybody's sleeping outside in the army.
Correct.
I'm not going to have a comfort of sleeping at home.
Correct.
That's what he said, right?
So yes?
If the king orders to do something that is against Torah, for instance, to eat pork or to light a candle. So
the question, why is this against Torah?
Because if you say that the get is valid, then
if
Reuben marries Leah, and then he divorces, and Shimon marries Leah.
Right. So, excellent question. So, according to Tosfos, it's a bigger question. According to Rashi, it's not going to be a problem because the get is only conditional once he doesn't come back. If the king says come back, then automatically the get is off.
So there is a mandatory.
I'm sorry. It's imaginary.
If the get is not valid, then there is a mandatory.
There is a.
Ish.
Lo Ishadish. In other words, no. Is Ishadish for David.
Right. Yes.
Right. Correct. None of this works out exactly perfect. According to Rashi, it's difficult why David is off the hook. According to Tosfos, it's difficult. You're correct, Jonathan. According to Tosfos, it's difficult how she would be able to come back and be with his wife.
Exactly.
If she's divorced. Unless you would say that he's suggesting to her he come back and be with his wife and marry her again.
Maybe that's
that would probably, it's one night, whatever it is,
Maybe that's why he never went to his wife. He stayed in the.
Well, he didn't want to become tamei. You have to understand these people wanted to stay. The reason is he wanted to be tahar. People in the battle wanted to be sanctified. Being with his wife is a desanctifying act. Whether it's too much shechvat zera, it's whatever it is. So he wanted, and it takes your mind off of it. So off the battle, so therefore he wanted to retain himself and not whatever it is. It's not necessarily breaking the law. If she is unmarried, right, he could marry her. So that could be the way that Tosfos would get out of it. But you're right, none of this, by the way, is as smooth as you want to make it. None of this is going to be like David is going to be full of honey here. But trying to find the ways. But at any rate, Tosfos' approach is more logical. The Mored b'malchut, the king says go home, you go home. Now, may have been that Uriah smelled the trap. But whatever it is, the king says do this. You have no right whatsoever to disobey the king. That actually is Moed B'Malchut. Okay, so but you're right. It is a good question how he would expect him to do so. And in fact, what does he say to the king? He says, Tosfos brings the rest of the puzzle. Everybody's out in the battle. I'm going to do this, but David said, "Do it." You can't say to the king, "Why should I?" It doesn't make sense to me if the king says it. At any rate, this is the tricky wiki where the Gemara is trying to find the gray area, or almost gray area, or maybe it's not so gray area, to reduce the severity of what David HaMelech did. And this goes back to what we started with the Gemara to say that Kol Omer David Chatal Eino Ela Toa.
Right.
As we have seen last week, anytime that it says he didn't do it, right, he wanted to do it, or he did something less, there's going to be other approaches as well.
Absolutely.
So here's the second approach. Amar Rav, Ki ma'ayin is bei b'David, lo mishkachas bei bar mi'Uriah. Bar mi'Uriah. When you go through David's rap sheet or his life achievements, you'll only find the one stain is what happened, what he did to Uriah. Dichsiv, as it says, Rak b'dvar Uriah hachiti. This is a pasuk in Melachim Aleph Perek Tedvav. Only because, I forget what the context is, but Hashem says, the Navi says to him, only you did everything except what you did with Uriah hachiti, which obviously means it stands out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So that's the only thing he did, which means, now the Gemara is going to say is that there may be
that he didn't sleep with his wife.
right. So no, it means that he, well, it can mean a lot of things. The Gemara is now going to suggest that maybe there were other things that David HaMelech did, but you see at the very least at this point the Gemara assumes something wrong happened with Uriah.
Right.
Whether it happens wrong that he kills Uriah, or whether it's wrong that he kills Uriah and sleeps with his wife, that's not clear. But at the very least, killing Uriah, David HaMelech is not exonerated from this alternative approach. So we started out by saying, if you said that David sinned, you're Toah. Then we said he wanted to do it, but he didn't do it. And then we said he really didn't want to do it because he set it up in such a way he didn't sin. Now we're saying actually he did do this, and the Gemara is going to ask, did he do something else? So the next thing the Gemara is going to ask about David HaMelech is about Lashon Hara. Okay, and this is the story with Mephibosheth, or Tziva.
Abai Kshisha?
Abai Kshisha, correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
So we're now going to do a piece that talks about the story with Mephibosheth and David. Mephibosheth is the remaining son of Jonathan, Yonatan, the son of Shaul. So there's a grandson of Shaul.
What he promised not to hurt him.
Right, and Mephibosheth was a cripple. And the Gemara, actually, the Tanakh talks to us about the story. His nursemaid was carrying him out, and he was on fire or something, and they fell, and he became a cripple for the rest of his life. So Mephibosheth has a servant called Siva, and Siva is a duplicitous character. And he comes to David and says, the reason Mephibosheth is not here is because he's really against you. And he was against you, David, all this time, because, he's the holdover from Shaul, who hated you. And even though he's the grandson of Shaul and the son of Yonatan, but still, he didn't come because he was kind of hoping you weren't going to make it. And then Mephibosheth actually finally comes. The David HaMelech calls him when he finally comes. And Mephibosheth tries to explain that this is not true. Right? I did everything I could, and I couldn't come because I'm a cripple, and my servant Siva disenfranchised me and fooled you. And at the end of the day, David HaMelech gives all of the inheritance that should be Mephibosheth to Siva. And when Mephibosheth comes and says, well, it's really a lie, so David HaMelech says you'll split it with your servant. Okay, it seems like an injustice, and Mephibosheth seems to turn that down even. He says, I don't want anything of yours. So it's not a very pleasant story all around. It looks like David has been taken for a ride. It looks like David is believing Tziva, and it looks like Mephibosheth is cheated. And Mephibosheth is the righteous, honorable individual who says, take the money, I'm really had it with you. I have no respect for you at all. I don't even want my money.
And David had sworn to Yonatan,
right, that he would look after
protect
him.
each other. Well,
correct.
You'll take care of my descendants, I'll take care of your descendants.
And David is backtracking on that. The Gemara feels that there's something more than that, and the Gemara tries to understand what goes on. But in the middle of all this, the Gemara feels that David HaMelech accepted Lashon Hara. Now, Lashon Hara to you and I sounds like a very small amount of difficulty compared to Eshet Ish. Okay, but I guess Lashon Hara is pretty significant, especially when you're dealing with money and believing and the disenfranchising Mephibosheth and considering Mephibosheth to be a traitor, right? If anything, this word Malchut should actually come up, but it doesn't. So the Gemara is going to come up with an answer that's not necessarily once again the most pleasant answer for all of us here in Western society, that David HaMelech actually saw something in Mephibosheth that made him believe and made him understand that Mephibosheth really was not with him, or Mephibosheth was rebelling against God. So I didn't copy all the pages of the story because I really want to be able to finish the parak. But you'll see enough of the story to make sense of it. And if you want to really go through the story afterwards, it's probably a good story to go through because you see the pliciousness between Mephibosheth and his servant in a simple way rather than the way the Gemara is going to explain it. Okay, so where are we up to? So Abaye Kashisha. So in other words, the Gemara is now going to prove that he didn't only sin with Uriah, there was something else. Abaye Kashisha Rami Derav Adarav. So Abaye Kashisha asked one question from Rav against another comment of Rav. The Rav that we just said was the Rav that said the only thing that David did was with Uriah, that we just did that line above. So he's going to make something else. Mi Amar Rav Hachi, did Rav say that this was the only thing that David did? The Amar Rav, Kibel David Lashon Hara, right? So David accepted Lashon Hara. So you see he did more than that. Kasha, the Gemara says Kasha, it's a Kasha. Okay, so that, you're right, it's a Kasha. Now the Gemara, having said it was a Kasha, is going to try to resolve the Kasha. Gufa. So now we explained to you exactly what the Lashon Hara was. We just simply brought down quickly Abaye Kashisha what he said, and there was a Kasha. Now we're going to tell you what the other story is. Rav Omar, Kibel David Lashon Hara. David accepted Lashon Hara, Vayomer lo HaMelech Eifahu. The king David is speaking to Tziva and says, where's your master? Where's Mephibosheth? Vayomer Tziva lamelech, hinehu beit machir ben Amiel below davar. Now it's a lo with an aleph, a lo with a vav. There's a kriya and a ksiv. That he's staying with Machir ben, in the house of Machir ben Amiel of lo davar. And it says, Vaishlach HaMelech vayikochel mi beit Machir ben Amiel mi lo davar. And once again, one of these is with an aleph, and one of these is with a yud, as if to say lo davar is there's nothing, and lo davar there is something here. So this is a hint somehow that there's something more than meets the eye. There is yes davar or there's lo davar. It's not exactly as it appears to be. So and that was not true. Then he tells that Mephibosheth didn't want to come all this time. So the Gemara says, Mechtei chazye de shikrahu. We're seeing that David HaMelech saw that Tziva was speaking falsehood. How come he accepted more Lashon Hara from him against Mephibosheth? As it says in continuing the story, Vayomer HaMelech to Tziva, V'ayo ben Adonecha, where is your master? Vayomer Tziva LaMelech, Hinei Yoshei b'Yerushalayim, he's in Yerushalayim. And he was not in Yerushalayim at that point, and he continues to say that he was in Yerushalayim. At this point, this was, I think, earlier in the story. He's in Yerushalayim because he's hoping that you, David, will not make it. And he's going to be able to grab back the Melucha for himself with the descendants of Shaul. Uminol the Kibominei. How do you know that David HaMelech accepted this Lashon Hara? Vayomer HaMelech Hinei L'chol Kol Asher Mephibosheth. The king, he seems to have accepted, and that seems to be the pshat, because he says to Tziva, all that belongs to Mephibosheth, I am now confiscating and giving to you, his servant. You win, because you are the one who ratted out Mephibosheth, who is rebelling against me, which is not true. Vayomer, and the pasuk continues, Vayomer Tziva, Hishtachaveti, I bow to you, my lord, the king, Emtzochein B'nei HaMelech, and I found favor in the eyes of the king. Or B'necho Adoni, I found favor in your eyes. So you see that David HaMelech accepted Lashon Hara from Tziva about Mephibosheth, took away the inheritance of Mephibosheth from his father and grandfather, and backtracks against everything he promised to Yonatan, because he believed this Lashon Hara from Tziva, which is really the simple pshat of what the Tanakh is talking about. That's a simple pshat story. David comes out to be duped.
Yeah.
Right, and even when Mephibosheth comes, he says, well, okay, I don't know who to believe now, so let's divide it in half. You get half and he gets half, which means still Mephibosheth loses. So who says this all? Rav says this all, and therefore it's a kasha against the first Rav, or the first statement of Rav, who said that David HaMelech only sinned with Uriah. So now you see David HaMelech did 2 sins. That's why I told you, remember, from starting out there he did nothing, now we've gone from 1 to 2. However, Shmuel comes along, Shmuel who always argues with Rav, or many times argues with Rav, comes along and says, nope, I found a way to re-understand or reword the psukim to make sense that David HaMelech did not accept Lashon Hara. So the Shmuel Amar, Lo Kibel David Lashon Hara, he didn't accept Lashon Hara about Mephibosheth, Dvarim HaNikorim Chazubei. He saw things in how Mephibosheth responded when Mephibosheth did come that put him on edge, that Mephibosheth was not fully with him. And we have to explain that. So not that he believed the calumny of Tziva, not that he accepted Lashon Hara. When Mephibosheth finally came and he calls Mephibosheth, Mephibosheth begins, it looks like explaining himself, why he didn't come. But in reality, some of the things that he said were not so clear, and David HaMelech understood them, that there was a nasty part to them underneath the simple meaning. D'chsiv, and here it goes. Mephibosheth ben Shaul yorad l'fnei HaMelech, or l'krat HaMelech. So Mephibosheth, he's not the son of Shaul, by the way. He is the grandson of Shaul, but that's they call him Ben Shaul, right? So Mephibosheth ben Yonatan ben Shaul came before the king to greet the king. He means he comes, it looks like humility and indifference. Lo asar raglav, he didn't wash his feet. Lo asar sfamo, he didn't trim his beard, his mustache. He had big dov lo kibeis, he didn't wash his clothing. These are all signs of mourning and sadness and realizing that you did something, or you're sad, or you're mourning, or you're just showing your humility. Uchsiv, and it says, Vayhiki va Yerushalayim l'krat HaMelech, and he comes to Yerushalayim to greet the king. Vayom elo HaMelech, and the king says to him, Lama lo alachta imi, why didn't you come with me? Where you been until now? If you really were on my side, why weren't you here with me until now? Because Siva was the one who kind of just left Mephibosheth behind, didn't tell him really where he was going, and Siva presented a whole different story. The king is asking Mephibosheth directly, where were you? How come you didn't come? And what's Mephibosheth's answer? Mephibosheth's answer is, I couldn't come, I'm a cripple. So Vayomer, and he says, Adoni HaMelech, Vayomar, Adoni HaMelech, Avdi Rimini, or Rimani, my servant tricked me. Ki Omar Avdecha Achav Shali Chamor, Ve'erkav Alecha, Ve'lechet HaMelech, Ki Pisech Avdecha. How can I come to get on the Chamor? How can I come to you? I'm Pisech, I'm a lame person. And Vayiragel, and he twisted things around against your servant, against me, to my master the king. And my master the king, you David HaMelech, are like the angel of God. And now to do that which is good in your eyes. Okay, so that looks like it's pretty good.
Very good.
It's very nice. And that's why the simple pshat is that David HaMelech comes out being duped by this. But however, look at the psukim. This is once again, look at the pshat, and we'll see how Shmuel explains it. Vayom elo HaMelech, lama tedaber od dvarecha. Why do you keep saying these things? Amarti atov etziva tachliku esasadeh. So why do you keep saying all these things to try to defend yourself? Okay, enough. You and Siva will divide the field. I'm going to go back. In other words, I said that Siva will have everything. I realize you have a point. So, you know what, I can't really fully figure this out. Well, it's 50-50. You get 50%, he'll get 50%. Siva still comes out a winner, and David still looks like he's duped. But here comes the problem when Mephibosheth responds. Vayom Mephibosheth al HaMelech. This is all the psukim. Gam es hakol yikach. He should take it all. Let's see if give it all to Siva. Acharei shebad Adoni HaMelech b'shalom el beito. Now that my master the king has come peacefully to his house, Amalo, I had said, Ani amarti motai tavo b'shalom v'ata oselikach lo alecha yesh li taromet elam. Oh, I'm sorry. This is now the Gemara explaining it. Amalo. So this is what Mephibosheth said. In other words, it looks like Mephibosheth is saying nicely, I let him keep it all. I'm just so happy that you came in peace, and I'm really on your side. I'm with you, and all the money is only money, and this talk about Malchut Beit David, etc., etc. So now the Gemara interprets it. This is the interpretation of Shmuel. Amar lo, Mephibosheth says as follows: Ani amarti motai tavo b'shalom v'ata oselikach. I said, when will you come in peace? And this is what you're doing to me? You're sticking it to me. I've only been on your side. I've been waiting for you to come back in peace to overthrow your enemies, get rid of Avimelech. And now you're only giving me half? I'm not angry against you. I'm angry against God. How God twisted my fate. In other words, you're not at fault, you're simply a human being. But God changed things around. My anger is at God.
Now, this is not a pasuk, right?
This is not the pasuk.
This is what Shmuel thinks he said.
Right. This is what Shmuel is interpreting the words of Mephibosheth. Let's go back and read the words of Mephibosheth again. This is 2 for the 5th line. Vayom Mephibosheth al Melech. Gam et kol yikach acharei sheba'adu ni HaMelech b'shalom el beito. Period. That's what he actually says.
Yeah.
Shmuel says, yeah, well, here's what he's saying. The fact that you came in peace, but I got stuffed. I got stuck.
Right.
I got cheated. Well, who am I angry at? I can't be angry at you because I'm happy you came home in peace. I'm angry at God, that God has withheld from you maybe what the truth is, that God has made you the way you are, that God allowed Siva to defraud me, but I'm really angry at God. Now that is not really a morid b'malchut, that is morid against Hashem. So this is how Shmuel interprets what this is. Okay? So, and in the traditional way of finding sources for things and names, the Gemara says, "V'hainu d'chsiv," coming back to the continuation of the Gemara, this is what it says, "Uven Yehoyot ben Yehonatan Meriv Baal." The son of Yehonatan was Meriv Baal. Now, of course, his name was not Meriv Baal. His name was Mephibosheth. What's Meriv Baal? So v'chi Meriv Baal Shemo, v'alo Mephibosheth Shemo. Maybe that's another son, is what you're going to say. Maybe, okay. But this is Divrei Yomim. Sometimes the names in Divrei Yomim do not always equate the names that are found in Malachim and Shmuel.
Right.
Okay, some things are different. So that's how we would read it in our simplicity. The Gemara never likes to do that. The Gemara tries to equate. One is the meaning of a name, one is the meaning of the person. Elamitoch she'asa meriva im ba'alav. He's called Merival. He's having a meriva. He's having a fight with his owner, with the Almighty. So because he fought against the Almighty, v'yotza bat kol v'amra, a voice came out from heaven and said, listen to this. V'amra lo, and said to him, Natza bar Natza, quarreler, the son of quarreler. You are a quarreler, and your father is a quarreler. You're quarreling against God, and your father quarreled against God. Who's the first Natza? Natza, the you, Mephibosheth, are Natza Hadi Amran, the story that you quarreled against God. You're upset with God. Bar Natza, the son of Natza, doesn't mean the son, means the grandson, once again, of Shaul. Dechsiv, Vayavo Shaul ad ir Amalek, Vayor ben Achal. Shaul came to fight against the Amalek. This is when Shmuel sends him to go beat up the Amalek, and he quarrels, it looks like, in the Nachal. Now, what does that mean? It's not really, that pasuk is not really clear. It means he's kind of like draining around in the valley. He doesn't want to go fight the Amalekites. He's not, in fact, he doesn't carry out the wishes of Shmuel to kill them all out.
But he went and fought.
Right. So the Gemara says, Vayar v'nachal amar Rabbi Mani, aliske nachal. He went to fight on this is talking about the issues that happen in a nachal, nachal eitan, where you find a murdered victim, and you take the calf, the heifer, and you throw it and you break its neck. Right? You don't know who actually killed them. So Rav Yehuda aliske nachal, that he was thought this would be unjust to kill the Amalekites. In other words, that the Nachal is a sign for Nachal Eitan, which we use to kill the calf when we don't know who the murderer is, and there's unjustness going on. So that Shaul is waiting, is quarreling with God that God wants him to destroy the Amalekites, and he feels that's unjust. And in fact, the proof is he doesn't do it exactly as he was commanded to by God. So therefore, you, Mephibosheth, in this hyperbole of Shmuel, are the quarreler, the son of a quarreler. You quarreled with God. Your grandfather quarreled with God. You're no goodnik, and that's why David has them killed. Or that's why David. That's why he doesn't get. That's why at the end he gives it. We give him half and only half because he saw something was really wrong here with Mephibosheth, not because he accepted the lashon hara from Tiva. Okay. Rav Yehuda Marav. So now that sounds like a very bad ending. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gemara says that every action has a reaction. So Rav Yehuda Marav, V'shah Shamar David Mephibosheth, Atav v'tziva tachlikut asadeh. You and Siva will divide the field, the inheritance. When David said this, it'll be 50-50. Yatsa bat kol v'yamar lo, Rechavam v'yarav yachlikut amlacha. Rechavam, this will be your grandson David, and Yerav ben Avad will divide the melucha. You want to give away, you kind of gave away something unjustly, so there'll be the double injustice, that your descendants will only have half the melucha.
A different bat kol.
Right, a different bat kol, correct, but this is all connected together, correct. Rav Yehuda Amarav, Ilmale lo kibel David lashon hara, lo nechleka malchut beit David. If David HaMelech had not accepted lashon hara, this once again seems to go back to the first approach of Rav, Correct? This is not the approach that he saw something bad in Mephibosheth. This is Rav, once again, who felt that David accepted Lashon Hara. So just stop for a moment. Remember the way this Gemara is running? We said Rav said he only did only Uriah. The Gemara said only Uriah. He also accepted Lashon Hara in the case of Siva. And then Shmuel says no, it wasn't Lashon Hara. He saw something bad about Mephibosheth. But let's go back to Rav says it was Lashon Hara. So now the Gemara says if not for the fact that David accepted Lashon Hara, lo nechleka malchut beit David, that the house of David would not be divided. This is once again the same division happens from the same story. Of the story of Mephibosheth, but the way Rav understands this Lashon Hara, the way Shmuel understood it, it was just nastiness, so to speak. The law of the Yisrael Avodah Zarah, and the Jews would not worship the idols, because when Malchut Ben David was divided in half, Yerav ben Avad set up the Agolim in Dan, and in, where was it, Beit El? Dan, is the other place, I can't remember, yes. And we would not have been exiled from our land. So all of this was because of this either Lashon Hara that David accepted, or because of the whole approach he took to Mephibosheth. Okay, and they were
right when you said Lashon Hara. I mean, he's saying if it wasn't for that,
right,
it would have been a unified kingdom, and it wouldn't have been a.
Correct. That's how it. So this is once again who would know. Okay, but anyway, this becomes the approach of the Gemara in terms of trying, because we saw you were going to obviate David from the sin, take away from him, reduce it, or actually he has another sin. So it's either 0, 1, or 2. Okay, and this is once again in line with this whole structure of Gemara, that we try to reduce it, but at the end you find that there are alternatives that either don't reduce it or even maximize it, or make it more, I should say. Okay, so far that was David.
Yeah.
One more guy. Actually, there's two more guys, but the last one is really short. The last one is Yoshiyahu, okay, who of course is a good guy. We had him yesterday in the keynote, correct? But the question was, did he ever sin? Was he really good, 100% good, or he sinned and became big? Okay. All right, well, I'm not sure we'll get to that one, but that's with the last 6-7 lines. Let's talk about Shlomo HaMelech. Okay, Shlomo HaMelech. And this goes back to the 1,000 wives of Solomon. Okay, so does Solomon sin or not sin?
Everything the Torah said, don't go to Egypt, don't get horses, don't get too many wives, and don't take too much money. I would say every one of those.
Actually, talks about some of the idol worship that he built.
That's even without the idol worship later of his wives.
Okay, I'm Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani, I'm Rav Yonatan. Kala Omer Shlomo Chata Eino Elato. Once again, we start off the same way. Whoever says that Shlomo sinned, it makes a mistake. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, V'lo haya levavo shalim im Hashem Elokav kilvav David Avdo. This is the end of his life, that his heart was not as complete with God like David. So what does that mean? Okay, kilvav David Avdo hudlo have mechta nami lochat. Okay, so he was not as great as his father, but he didn't sin. Didn't say he's a bad guy. Just as like he didn't reach the level of David HaMelech in terms of spirituality. David HaMelech writes Tehillim. Shlomo HaMelech makes love. Ella mani makayim. So I'm sorry. That's true. Okay, I'm sorry. Koheles Mishlei.
Koheles not the same flavor as the healing.
Okay, but somehow David is on the pedestal. David is on the pedestal. Okay, David is on the top, and Shlomo HaMelech follows afterwards. After Shlomo HaMelech, you have this break of the kingdom, so things change. So Elamani Makayim. So once again, what are you going to do with the verses that seem pretty clear? It says, Vayhit leid ziknat Shlomo nashav hituat libo. That at the end of his life, his wives turned his heart away. So what does it mean they turned his heart away? Hahu Rabbi Nosson, just as what Rabbi Nosson said, Rabbi Nosson asked the question, 2 psukim against Yizarla, Vahi leitzik nat Shlomo nashav hituat libo. That's the pasuk with Vaksiv Kilvav David Aviv Hudlo Havi Mechta Nami Lochata. So it's the same question we're really asking. Only Rabbi Nosson answered just the two questions together. So Hachi Kamar. Vahilei Zignat Shlomo Nashav Hituat Libo Lalecha Dachme Elohim Achirim V'lo Halach. They wanted him to follow other gods. They turned his heart away, but he didn't turn. Now, it was the same idea. He wanted to sin, but he didn't sin. V'aksiv, but it says, wait, Az Yivnei Shlomo Bama L'chmo Shikutz Moav. But doesn't it say in the end, Mochem Aleph Perigid Aleph, that Shlomo built a Bama to Chemosh. Chemosh is the god of Moab. Right. They call it Shikutz, which means disgusting thing, but that's just in line with the way Torah writes things. So what does it mean? He built this idol worship of Bama. Shebikesh livnos v'lo bana. Okay, he wanted to, but he didn't. Okay, so we've heard this response before. Gemara says, wait, you can't fool us now, because we have a pasuk that seems to talk about another person who built, And Elameata says, Oz Yivne Shlomo Mizbeach Lashem. This is in Shluch Yoshua Chet. It says, then Joshua will build a Mizbeach for Hashem. So Shebikesh Livnot Shvelo Bana, he didn't build it, he did build it. Okay, he did build it. By the way, the Gemara in Sanhedrin says this is a pasuk tells us about Chesed Mesim. Oz Yivnesh Yoshua, Yoshua will build this again in the future, like Oz Yashir Moshe. Right. That's a different drush. But it means Yoshua did build it. So it means he didn't build it. Ella, no, you gotta say Ella Hacha, Ella Debana. Yoshua did build it. Hacha Nami Debana. He did. So it must be that Shlomo also built the Bama for Chemosh. Ella Kedatanya, Rabbi El Kedatanya, but it means like the following Brisa, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Veta Bamot. This is really a tricky drasha. Veta Bamot, Asher Al Pnei Yerushalayim, Asher Mimin Lahar Mishcha. The Bamot, everybody knows what Bamot are? Right? Yeah, okay, the altars, the high altars that were built in Yerushalayim to the right of Har Zaitim, that's Har Mishcha. Asher Bana Shlomo Melech Yisrael, Ashtarot, Shikut Sidonim, which Shlomo built to Ashtarot, another god, the god of the Sidonim.
Women god.
So who says this? This is about Yoshio coming along and all the things he destroyed. And he destroyed the Bamot that when Yerushalayim to the right of Har Zaitim, which Shlomo Melech built to Ashtarot. So the Gemara says, which seems that he built it. So the Gemara says, well, it's not so simple. Efshir bo Asa v'lo bi Aram. Is it possible Asa came before Yoshio? He left these Bamot of Shlomo? Yoshaphat came v'lo bi Aram, and Yoshaphat came also, and these are supposed to be righteous kings who wiped out idol worship, and he didn't destroy the Bamot of Shlomo. Asheba Yoshua bi Aram. Is that possible? That these idolatrous worshipping Bamot were left from the days of Solomon all the way to Yoshio, and they remained, and Asa didn't destroy them, and Yoshaphat didn't destroy them. Asheba Yoshua bi Aram v'lo kol avodah zarah sheberetz Yisrael Asa v'Yoshaphat bi Aram. All the idol worship was destroyed by Asa and Yoshaphat. The Gemara knows that for a number of psukim. It doesn't bring them here. Ela makish rishonim lachonim. But it compares two different things. Machonim lo asu v'tala behem l'shevach. So the same way that who are the Achronim? The Achronim are Asa and Yoshaphat. So let's see who's which is which. They're comparing the building of Shlomo to the destruction by Yoshio. The same way that Yoshio, who did not actually destroy these altars, and they were destroyed before him, but the Torah or the God ascribes it as if Yoshio did it, because he destroyed the other altars. So we're assuming that he also destroyed these altars, which were destroyed before, that he didn't destroy. So to Shlomo, he didn't even build them. When the Torah wanted to give a way to put down Shlomo and say that he wasn't so perfect, it says Shlomo wanted to build the altars and he didn't do them. I'm not sure if you followed that, but I said it clearly enough. In the same way that Yoshio, these were destroyed actually before Yoshio, but he got the credit. So the Shlomo didn't actually build the Bama, and he got credit for building them, or got the discredit for building them. Right? He got the blame for building them, because the Torah wanted to ascribe blame to Shlomo, so he wasn't perfect at the end of his life. So that's how the Gemara gets out of it. So at any rate, we've taken out the problem of the Bamot that Shlomo built. So, Vaktiv, another question. Vaktiv, Vayash Shlomo Ra B'nei Hashem. It says Shlomo did the evil in the eyes of God. So he does bad. So then you tell me now he didn't do bad? Right, so now the Gemara comes back to one of the early premises that got us into this whole Gemara, because he should have stopped his wives from doing the idol worship. They worshipped idols. He did not, but he should have stopped it. He didn't stop them. So the Torah considers, or Tanakh considers, if he actually sinned. This is the first premise that got us into this whole thing. Right about, remember the parah of Rav Elazar ben Azariah, was it? It wasn't his parah that was wearing the horns or wearing the thing, it was his neighbor's, but he didn't stop her, and therefore it became ascribed to him, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So therefore Shlomo Melech is still a good guy, but he actually didn't stop his wife, so therefore he becomes responsible for it. By the way, why does Shlomo Melech actually take all these wives? That's a real question. It's political. Okay, so that
I think he took more than what's politically necessary.
Right. So
First one he married the Egyptian. That was
So some of the Baalei Kabbalah suggest that in the essence of what people are, the essence of a nation is found in their women. This may have to do with the fact that women are less formed and men are more formed. Please don't ask me to explain this. But and each trait that is can be sanctified with God is ascribed to a different nation. So Moab has the koach achila shtia, Ammon is the koach of taiva, Sidonim are koach of mammon, and Chiti is the koach and gvura. I'm not quite sure why, but he marries them therefore in order to be able to take all these different powers under the control of the Almighty. That's one way in which some of these Svarim try to understand why he goes into this, not for political reasons, but for goodkeit, for Kedusha. So at any rate, this is really back to Shlomo. So he's responsible that he didn't stop them from doing so, and therefore he's responsible. Amar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel. Once again, we're going to kind of see if he's really guiltless or not. Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, Noach lo lo tzaddik shehayashamish l'davar acher. It would have been better for this tzaddik, Shlomo HaMelech, to have been a shamisol for avodah zarah. He would have given up everything, and he would have rather had a life of being a shamus in an idol worship shrine, which means you take out the garbage, you set up the idols, you bring out the wood and the water, rather than he find that at the end of his life it says Vayas Rabbi Hashem. Okay, it doesn't, by the way, it's not clear. Does he do evil? According to this, he doesn't do evil. Not so clear. Okay, maybe. Now, what is it that he doesn't stop? Rabbi Yehuda Mar Shmuel b'shar shenasa Shlomo bat Paro hechnisa lo elef minei zemer. When he marries the daughter of Paro, she brings in 1,000 different types of instruments. And Amra lo, and she says, Kach osim lavodah zarah plonis. This is how they play the symphony for the mass for this idol worship. Kach osim lavodah zarah plonis. How they do it for this idol. V'lo michaban. He listened to the music and he didn't stop her. Maybe he even enjoyed the music. So all the different fugues and all the different, organ music that you listen to and say, this is wonderful music, right?
Before he got old now, because
that's correct, right? And in fact, Bat Paro is viewed always in a negative light. It's she's responsible for his showing up late for the dedication of Beis HaMikdash. She paints stars on the roof of his tent. So when he wakes up, he thinks it's still night.
It's enough to turn out, by the way.
Okay, yes.
The word plonit, is that feminine?
Yes, plonit is feminine for ploni. Yeah. So this so and such avodah zarah is a feminine noun. Okay. So now once again, so he ploni is Mr. So and so.
In Ksuba, you have plonit for feminine. Don't you in Ksuba plonit?
In Ksuba, I hope they put the person's name in.
No, we have it.
We have it.
Ploni Almoni.
I think it's in the Ksuba also the word plonit.
I don't think so. I hope they filled in the name. Ploni means a Mr. Anonymous person. So the anonymous person is going to be mentioned in the Ksuba. Check your Ksuba. It says your Ksuba says that Ploni married your wife, you're in trouble. Okay. If it says that you married Ploni, it's even worse. Okay, now Plonit. Go home and read it, Archie. Let us know. If the Ksuba is not right, we'll write you a new Ksuba. Okay. We'll assume it's not the Ksuba. Okay, so I'm Rabbi Yehuda Mar Shmuel. B'shosh, and once again, here comes Bat Paro again. B'shosh, nasa Shlomo Bat Paro. Yorad Gavriel, v'noad Koneh b'yam. You have Gabriel, the archangel, comes and takes a reed and sticks it into this ocean. V'yalavo Sirton, and this massive land jumps up. V'allah nivneh Krach Gadol Shel Romi. And the big city of Rome starts out. It starts at this point when he marries Bat Paro. So for every action there is a reaction. Of course, Rome is not an antagonist till much later on, and it's not even clear if Rome exists at this point. It does not. But the precursor of Rome, the island of Italy, probably comes up. We'll see Italy in a moment. Masnisa Tana, we have a brisa that says something similar. Osa Yom Shechnis Yeravim Shnei Egli Zahav. That when Yeravim put up these two calves, this is not Shlomo Melech anymore. This is after Shlomo Melech. So he sets up the two calves. Achad beBeitel v'Achad b'dan. Nivnet Sarif Echad. This island suddenly comes out of the water. V'zehu Italia Shel Yavan. This is Italy of Yavan, which is referred to in the Gemara Megillah and other places as a big part of Rome, the Roman Empire. Italia Shel Yavan. Something on the obviously the Italian peninsula. Yes, Greece. They're the Greek islands, and then there's a Rome is in Italy. So as if to say the Italia Shel Yavan is the Roman antecedents that are in Yavan that later become Rome. Okay, good. We have time to finish up. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Yonatan. Kol Omer Yoshio Chata Ein Ela Tov. If you say Yoshio sinned, you also are mistaken. Shneimar Vayasa Yoshua ben Hashem Vayelech b'chol derech aviv. He followed the ways of his father. He did everything that was righteous. He did good. So he was therefore not only a good king, he was righteous from day one. He never sinned. So in other words, this is all the same thing. If you say that Shlomo sinned, if you said David sinned, if all the other, if you say the Yoshio sinned, right, then you're making a mistake. Yoshio was righteous by kol derech aviv. V'lel mani makayim. What does it mean when it says in Malachim Chav Gimel at the end of Yoshio when he dies? It says, there was never a king before him who returned to God. Now what does return to God mean? Asher Shav. It means he returned, he sinned, and he became Baal Tshuva. So how could you say he never sinned? Okay, we know he's a good guy, but he must have done something wrong to come back and discover this. And that would be the logic was until he becomes the king in the age of 8. He probably didn't know right from wrong. It's only really when he turns 8 that he suddenly realizes that he has a responsibility. They find the Sefer Torah, they read him the Sefer Torah in the Beis Mikdash. He says, what's going on here? And he begins the eradication process. But it seems that he has returned to God. So the Gemara says, no, that's not what he means. It doesn't mean he returned to God. It means he returned something that he took away from someone. Okay? And the Gemara says, this is once again a bit fanciful like me, the Gemara says, Shekol dayan shedon ben shemoneh ad shemoneh-esrei, anything that he judged from the age of 8 until 18, hechsiran lahen, he returned. A judge can't be less than 18 years old to judge. You don't have the mental maturity to do so. So he becomes king when he's 8. Being that he's the supreme king, he's the king, he's also the supreme judge. So he judged cases which will refer to him. But he's from 8 years old. Now what happens from 8 to 18? Suddenly he realizes that when he's 18, he shouldn't have been judging. So how is he going to change that? It doesn't mean he sinned. It's not necessarily a sin, it's just inappropriate. So what does he do? He returns all the judgments that he took away from people. If he had A and B and he took A's money and gave it to B, right, he now returns it. So wait, the Gemara says, Shema Tomar not on Mizev and Nasan Lazeh. Maybe you'll say he took the money away from B and returned it back to A. Right? No, not true. Talmud, let's place. Shema Tomar not Mizev and Nasan Lazeh. Talmud Lomer B'chol Miodo. He did it with all his might. Shenatan Lahen Mishalo. He gave it from his own money. So if, when he was 8 years old, he took money from A and said A owes B, now when he turns 18, he gives the money back to A, but he doesn't take it from B, he takes it from his own. So this means shav. Shav doesn't mean returning to God, it means he returned the money. He returned what he may have misdone because he was under 18 years old while he was judging. Okay? However, as we see that there's never one answer for these things, and even Yoshio has an alternative approach. Upligi the Rav, it argues against Rav, the Amar Rav, Ein l'chol gadol b'bali tshuva yoser miyish Yoshio b'doro v'echad b'doreinu. That there was no greater Baal Tshuva in the world than Yoshio, which means he did sin initially, and then he returned to God. Shav means tshuva, and someone else who happens to live in our generation, says Rav. And who is this person? Umanu. Who is this guy that Rav is referring to? Abba Avua de Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, or it was Acha Achuha the Abba Avua de Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. It's either the father, the grandfather of Yirmiyah bar Abba, or it was the brother of the grandfather of Rav Abba bar Yirmiyah, who as the Amara Rabbi Abba v'Acha Achi Havi. Either Rabbi Ami, these two guys were brothers, so either was the grandfather of Rabbi Yirmiyah or his grandfather's brother. So this guy, one of two people, was the great Baal Tshuva, equal to Yoshio. So the bottom line is Yoshio is going to be a Baal Tshuva. Finally, just to end off the Chitov, good. Rav Yosef, Od Echad B'Doreinu comes along. Rav Yosef said, we got another guy in our generation who is also a big Baal Tshuva. Umanu, who is it? Ukvan bar Nechemya Reish Galuta. He is Ukvan, the son of Nechemya the Reish Galuta, who is known apparently as a great Baal Tshuva. V'hainu, and this is, and he's called Naton de Tzitzusa. He was given a name. Naton de Tzitzusa. Rashi says that there was different light that was coming out of him, that the Malach accepted his tshuva, or it means that the Malach, there you'll see in a dream that the Malach reaches out and they see that he touches, either he puts light coming out of his head or he touches his payas. That was yanked on his payas was a good sign, that's apparently. And according to Tosa says that there was a medrash that he had some kind of light shining off of his head. So not that there was necessarily sparks coming off his head, as Rashi says, but there was actually a light above his head, which is always a sign of a tzaddik. Sure. Right? For those who ever see the pictures of the halos, right, in all the medieval pictures, the halo is really a sign of light, because light above a person was always seen as a sign of tzidkus, both in Judaism and of course later in Christianity. So that's how you see the circles, those halo things. It's supposed to be light, that's why they're white. So I'm Rav Yosef Haviyativna Bepirka. I was sitting in the lecture, says Rav Yosef, V'hava Komenam name, and I was daydreaming, dozing off. V'chazi b'chilma, and I saw the Kopashet Yada V'kiblei, that the Malach reached out his hand and accepted the tshuva of Natan Tzitzusa of Ukvan Bar Nechemia. So that's how we know his tshuva was accepted. It was a great tshuva, and either he sees him touch the payas, or just touch his head and sparks come out, or there's a light that's above his head, and he lived happily ever after. So the question is about Chalkid at the end. There still is Yoshio, either therefore the tzaddik all his life, 100% of the time, and he has to return money because he was judged under 18, or it means that he was a Baal Tshuva, and the greatest Baal Tshuva there was. Hadron Lach B'Mevehema, Hadron Lach B'Mevehema, Hadron Lach B'Mevehema. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Here we go. Okay.